Andrew here, Nashville severe weather again. Another day of severe weather coming in, and this one looks pretty serious. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for western Williamson County, and this is going to be for Fairview, basically Fairview back to the west. But it's very important to note with the system that just because the warning right now includes western Williamson County, it likely will be extended east. So if you are not currently under a severe thunderstorm warning, which is most of us, that doesn't mean that we won't be here in about half an hour. So please stay aware, stay connected, and this storm looks to impact all of us as we go through the next little bit. I'm going to make sure that we are indeed live and that our link is good and that everything is working the way it should. And there it is. Good. Okay. Again, if you're just joining us here, severe thunderstorm warning. This is in effect for 70 mile per hour winds possible. This could be a serious storm. These storms have lined up and congealed into a line that is displaying a bow echo, and it's aimed right at us. So we look to get really the strongest part of this storm here in our two counties, and you can see the polygons flashing there. Those polygons flashing indicate winds to 70 miles per hour. They are a step up on the severe thunderstorm warning level, and so that they can give us a heads up that these storms mean business. So, got Will here. Will's going to be taking reports. He's also going to be driving Twitter over there for a little while we're here on YouTube Live. And so let's talk about how to prepare for this. A couple of things to mention. One is when these storms come through, you're going to want to be in a sturdy shelter, a sturdy building away from trees. So the biggest threat with this is going to be stuff falling. So like we saw last night, so many of you saw tree damage. If you've been driving around today, as I have, I've seen a lot of trees down, trees split, that kind of thing. That's what we're looking at for today. So now if winds reach 70 miles per hour, that's going to be pretty extensive in your area if you get that localized area, 70 mile per hour winds. So you don't want to be under anything where trees could hit you. So don't be outside. Don't be in a car driving. If you need to go somewhere, get that done quickly. And that way you are where you are supposed to be when the storms come through and you're not on the road as these trees come down, because you do not want to be in a car as trees come down along the roadside. So those are a couple of things to mention. If you've got neighbors outside, we mentioned this on Twitter a little bit ago. If you've got neighbors outside, maybe they're cleaning up storm damage outside from yesterday, give them a heads up. Let them know that we got another round of storms coming through that could be just as strong, maybe a little stronger as what we had last night. So give them a heads up. Let them know that that's coming and that they need to get inside here before too long. So you're looking at a traditional radar view here. Let's take a look at velocities and get an idea of what is going on there. And yeah, we see these areas back to our west coming into Dixon County of winds that could be in the 75 mile per hour range. Keep in mind, we're looking a couple of thousand feet up in the atmosphere here. But nonetheless, we have to pay attention to these 75 miles per hour, 77. And that's where we're getting the indications that winds could be very strong in this area in southern Dixon County. And again, that's headed our direction. So let's put this in motion. Let's kind of see how this has progressed. A lot of you have asked about timing. These are a little bit hard to time because they were moving pretty slow earlier, but they may pick up their wheels here and move a little quicker now that they've sort of formed a line. Again, it's just hard to time out these things. But they're right now in southern Dixon County, northern Hickman County. So there it is in motion. That's about the past hour, roughly. So you can see they're generally headed our direction. Will, I've asked you this, I think, the past 2 days, it seems like. So what are we looking for with wind reports today?
So this is probably going to be a pretty significant tree damage event. Anytime we see winds this high, that's what we expect. Similar to last night, if you followed our coverage last night, we'll have probably some power outage issues as well. We'll probably have a number of reports as this moves into the western part of both counties. But much like last night, these storms don't appear to be weakening as they come towards us. Studying the radar for what I'm doing on Twitter, I can see that the intensity is still there, and it's something for us to definitely stay focused on.
So the way to send us reports, if you would use a tweet and use hashtag TSpotter and send us any reports you can. Don't do that as the storm's coming through, if that would be unsafe for you. But if it's safe, feel free to send us those reports using hashtag TSpotter over on Twitter, and we'll get those over to the Weather Service. Will, I think this is going to be another one of those days where the reports are important for the Weather Service as they determine what kind of warnings to issue as these things move east. So, for example, the folks there in Hickman County, Humphreys County, Dixon County, areas like that, hopefully the Weather Service will be getting some reports for them and from them, and then and that will help them as they issue warnings coming in. So the reports will be important today.
Yeah, so make sure you use, like Andrew said, hashtag TSpotter. Make sure that you include cross streets where you live, the community where you live. Even if you are west of the areas we cover, let us know what you're seeing. That way we can get that information to the Weather Service and they can make better warning decisions. I ran the graphics. I ran the ETAs in WSV3, Andrew.
Okay. Over on Twitter.
Yeah, I threw those up on Twitter. If you want to look at that, they are very much approximate. Like Andrew said earlier, the storm's moving pretty slow, and then it sped up a little, and now it's kind of slow again. We also can see in the radar image that Andrew's got up on the screen, we may see front runners out ahead of this bow echo. Right, so as this bow echo pushes a mass of air out to the east, the turbulence caused by that can cause initiation for some of these other storms. And so timing is a little bit squishy.
Yeah, and what I'm looking at here, Will, conditions aren't very favorable for tornadoes today, but one little caveat we have to watch for is this area right around Dixon, and there's an area of some enhanced velocities here. I got to watch for the possibility of a little spin up there around Burns, and again, that's not entirely close to us. That's back to our west, but since it is back to our west, we're just going to watch that. Again, conditions, this is not really a tornado day as far as ingredients go, but sometimes you can get just these little eddies out here that can sort of spin up a little something, and so we're going to watch that.
Hey, Andrew,
as well.
Will you switch that to TBNA and run velocity?
Sure. Yep, just a second. Give me just a second here. All right, here's TBNA, and TBNA's view of it, it's about the same.
I'm doing, looking at some point sampling in WSV3, looking at TBNA, and there are winds. If you'll remember last night, we were talking about winds coming down through Percy Priest Lake south and hit kind of skirting the east side of both counties. That was a big ball of 70-mile-an-hour wind. This looks like the same kind of thing moving in a different direction. And I would anticipate similar damage to what we saw last night. This is a power outage event.
Based on what we're seeing here on TBNA, I can see that it looks like we're showing winds possibly up here on TBNA up in the 90-mile-per-hour range.
Now, that's up in the air.
That is 2,100 feet off the ground. It's 2,100 feet above radar height, but that's nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, because that does translate into a certain wind speed at the ground depending on a number of factors. But, yeah, that's serious wind.
Hey, Will, we're having big Twitter issues, and a lot of people are reporting that they're not able to access Twitter right now. Twitter may be having problems, and so that's one reason why we have multiple ways for you to get this information. So if you're on the chat here and talking about Twitter issues, I'm glad you are here as well, so you can get the information.
Yeah,
But
Twitter
yeah, Twitter
appears
seems to be having some problems.
I had some problems with it earlier today. It appears to be working correctly now.
These folks have just now reported they can't
So
access Twitter. So
it must be hit or miss. I'm on TweetDeck right here, and it seems to be working fine.
gotcha. So hey, let's give a big heads up. This is going to be a big heads up for Fairview. Okay, we're looking here at TBNA. Big heads up for Fairview. We could have some very strong damaging winds come through here in the next 10 minutes. Okay, if you're in Fairview, you need to take a shelter in a sturdy building. This is not a tornado, but some of these winds could be as strong as a weak tornado, okay, on the straight line wind deal. So let me back this up and play it again. And you can see Fairview right here. This is headed right for Fairview. Now, about 2,100 feet up in the atmosphere here, which is, if you've been in an airplane, you hit 2,100 feet awfully fast, okay? So it's not that high. 2,100 feet, we're looking at 95 mile per hour winds up there at 2,100 feet. Okay, 95 miles per hour at 2,100 feet, and that's going to be approaching Fairview. Will it be 95 at the ground? I sure hope not. But Fairview, you guys need to be in a sturdy building. You need to not be driving. If you're driving, I'd say get off and get in a building if you can, because you don't want to have the chance of being under a tree and it breaks. And so that's what we that we're watching out for that. So winds approaching 80 to 90 miles per hour up at about 2,100 feet heading into Fairview. So heads up for Fairview. Going down the line here, that's going to be also Bellevue, Pasco, Riverwalk, Natchez Trace Bridge area. Areas around Vaughn Road, the Warner Parks. If you know anyone in the Warner Parks, if they're out on the fields, if they are hiking, whatever they're doing, if you know anybody in Warner Parks, please give them a heads up and let them know this is coming. This could be, I hate to say it, Will, but winds like this and you're out in a park hiking around, this could be a deadly event, and we don't want that.
Absolutely, yeah. And
we
we've
don't
already
want
had
that.
fatalities this week due to straight line wind damage, which is what this is. So, yeah, folks, what I'm really worried about as we get into Fairview, we get a lot of people, especially on holiday weekends like this, enjoying the Harpeth River, which is beautiful. I live along it. But the lightning that's happening with this storm as it moves in, the potential for tree damage is going to create a pretty dangerous situation. So if you know anybody that's out on the river in western Williamson, southwestern Davidson County, give them a heads up as well. In terms of the Twitter issues, obviously no control over that. It looks like there's some issue with limiting how many tweets people can see, or maybe that we can send. Outbound stuff seems to be working. I can see a lot of replies, but it sounds like there may be some persistent issues here.
Well, have them join if they can somehow access our YouTube Live. Hopefully, that would be much more reliable. So if hopefully they can do that. That's probably the best way to do it right now. If they can access our YouTube Live here, somehow send them the link, text them the link, something like that. If people need to watch and get information on the weather coming in. So again, this does not appear to be weakening at all. This appears to be getting holding its own. And we're looking at 80 mile per hour winds coming into Fairview here in just a moment, and that's going to be no good. And I'm going to just happen to see, we don't have a camera out there right now, but we could have 80 to 90 mile per hour winds coming into Fairview. So please, if you know somebody out there, let them know to get inside and away from trees. As this comes in. This is going to be a strong wind event for them in western Williamson County, southern Cheatham County, and southwestern Davidson County at least. And then we'll see how this thing drives in and see if it keeps driving east toward Franklin, Brentwood, Creve Hall, another area with a lot of trees. Creve Hall, Antioch, Nolensville here after a while. So here, let's look at our. Yeah, go ahead.
Big shelf cloud coming through Fairview right now. Just saw pictures of that on Twitter. Very classic for the type of outflow that we're seeing, especially with several. We've got kind of an S shape thing happening here. Um, OHX, the National Weather Service in Nashville, is concerned about the bow that is happening in this line that you're seeing right here. Concerned about it as well. This is, when we see that S shape happen, when we see these multiple bows happen, that's punch out kind of wind that's going to come through here.
Strong winds crossing 840 now, coming down I-40, so right there around the intersection of 840 and 40 on the west side, west of Fairview, and strong winds will be coming to the Highway 96 exit there in Williamson County to Fairview. It's a very small part of I-40 that goes through Williamson County. And that's where those strong winds are going to be. Actually, they're there right now. There's our latest radar scan, so that's going to be coming in to Kingston Springs, just south of Charlotte, and over toward, that's going to be Burns, and that's also going to be White Bluff, and just
Kingston
north,
Springs,
Kingston
Fairview.
Springs. Yeah, there's a camp up here called Camp Leatherwood, right around in there. So that's where the some very strong winds headed there, and then continuing down to Fairview as well. So let's back up just a little bit. Let's show kind of who's downstream of this. It's not just about where it is; it's about where it's going. And so Fairview, Pegram, all of Davidson County, most of Williamson County, you are downstream of this. The higher chances of the strongest winds are going to be the further north you are in Williamson County at the moment. So we'll have to see if that changes. But basically, if you haven't had a storm yet, you are in line for this storm back to the west. So don't disconnect. It's going to take it a while to get to Donaldson, Hermitage, Lakewood, areas like that. It's not going to take it as long to get to Bellevue and Fairview, obviously, but we all look to get this storm here in a little bit. So please stay connected, even though you may not be under a warning yet. So severe thunderstorm warning continues for another 15 minutes for Fairview. I fully expect that to be extended off to the east. So don't pay attention, I guess, as much to the expiration times as you are just the radar in general to see where this thing is. Because this storm will not be over. It will not be over for us in 15 minutes. Excuse me.
That's right. This is something that's going to happen this is going to evolve, and this storm line will probably iterate a little bit, right? There's going to be a few different versions of it with different bows in different places, but nothing that we see will stop the momentum. It will cross 65. It will cross both counties.
Strong winds coming into Fairview now. Here's the latest scan. These are 1-minute scans coming out of TBNA in Nolensville and shooting off to the west. So right down in the middle of Fairview now, where Highway 96 comes off of Highway 100 there, right in the middle of town. So the gust front passing there. Winds will probably only increase with time as that gust front passes through. So it'll be approaching Brush Creek. Crossing Westwood Elementary now, headed toward the Highway 96, Highway 100 intersection in Davidson County. They're up there around Pasco, Temple Hills, Natchez Trace Bridge, and that's where this bulge is right now. See how it's bowed out? Very clear signature of being bowed out there, and that's going to be where this is. I expect a new severe thunderstorm warning in the next minute or two. This thing's getting awfully close to the edge of that warning polygon. So those of you up around Pasco, Bellevue, Riverwalk, Natchez Trace Bridge, Leapers Fork, Franklin, downtown Nashville, Bells Bend, Brentwood, expect to be under a severe thunderstorm warning here in the next few minutes. I would guess.
I'm asking in chat if we expect a new severe for Davidson and Williamson. I can't imagine that the answer to that will be no. Some folks on Twitter asking about ETAs. Uh, ETA for the nations. Is it time to bring in umbrellas and volleyball nets? Yes, it's
Yes.
time to do that.
I think if you're let's just make a blanket statement. If you're in Davidson or Williamson County and you have not had a storm yet, you need to bring your stuff in. If you have time to do it based on our radar images here, then yeah, bring your stuff in. New severe thunderstorm warning out now for both counties. I'm sorry, just Williamson. It looks like is Davidson not included?
Davidson is not included. Cheatham, Dixon, Hickman, Murray, Williamson.
Okay.
That's,
okay.
That's a little bit surprising, but they may have something else in store for Davidson.
Let's see how this polygon shakes out. The polygon will be up here in just a second on the maps, and we'll see how it shakes out. But nonetheless, we do have strong gusty winds coming through Kingston Springs and Fairview, headed down for Pasco, Bellevue, and areas like that here in just a minute.
How long do we think it's going to last? That's a good question. So it really kind of depends. It depends on whether or not it keeps this speed up.
I'm sorry. Will. That's a continuation of the previous warning. That's not a new warning.
Okay,
my bad.
So
you keep going. I had to correct myself there.
They had the considerable tag on it.
Well,
they just continued that.
Yeah, they just shorted up a little bit.
Okay. So the National Weather Service continues the severe thunderstorm warning, asking the question about, how long will this last, right? This will sweep through town. It will be over you for 20, 25 minutes, and then it will be behind you. The issue is there are multiple lines of storms in the wake of this that have popped up in West Tennessee and Eastern Arkansas. I think most of those are going to miss us to the north. And I think that anything that we see, persistent this afternoon will be below severe limits and pretty hit or miss. So this is probably our main event for the day.
We certainly hope so. That's for sure. Strong winds now. You're looking at TB&A radar here, and strong winds coming through Fairview, approaching the Natchez Trace Bridge here, Leapers Fork, Bellevue, Riverwalk, Pasco, Kingston Springs, Belmead, Bells Bend, and on up into Nashville. So those strong winds are there. It looks like on TB&A we're still seeing wind gusts on the order of 70 miles per hour back to the west in Dixon County. And that is entirely possible back to our west. Looking for any report. Have we seen any reports back to the west? Will anything
you've seen coming? Really, any reports of anything significant? I see some video of what came through Fairview, and it's pretty gnarly. There's something in the T-Spotter thread if you want to look at that. But no damage so far, which is pretty surprising. But much like yesterday, this is going through an area that's fairly rural. It's now moving into an area that it has much greater population density. So we could start seeing a higher frequency of reports.
Yeah, I agree with that. Severe thunderstorm warning continues for 8 minutes there in Fairview, and then again, would not be surprised if this gets extended to the east. They're probably making determinations based on reports on exactly what product to put out. We'll see how that evolves over the next few minutes. So let's see. We got David joining in. Hey, David.
Is this a considerable tag, guys?
Yes.
It is for, the one that's out right now. We're going to wait and see what a new warning. So far, no new warning has come out for further east. So we're going to wait and see what's on that one. But yes, considerable tag for the one we have for now. So on TB&A, which is what we were just looking at, Let's go back to that just a second. It's got a good read on this. And we're looking back in Kingston Springs around Cheatham County. It looks like winds up in the 77 mile per hour range on TBNA. That's at about 1,500 feet.
Extended.
And I'm sorry?
Been extended.
Yeah,
came out.
new warning coming out now, and there's your new polygon for Davidson and most of Williamson. So new severe thunderstorm warning now, and that's going to be for those strong winds pushing east. Could be winds up to 70 miles per hour, as we've been saying, and would not be surprising at all if we have extensive tree damage in Davidson and Williamson counties. You see the flashing polygon there. That means that is a stepped up version of a severe thunderstorm warning, and we could have winds up to approaching 70 miles per hour, which would be very damaging for trees and power line infrastructure, unfortunately. But we're going to be dealing with that. But our primary concern is for you. It's to make sure that you are safe. So as these storms come in, please don't be driving, especially under trees. And we really would prefer you be in a decent building that's away from trees, and where you don't have any danger of a tree falling on you. Whether that's in a building, in a car, wherever it is, please be in a place where you can take cover from these winds, and especially the things that can be brought down by the winds. So that's our primary concern, is you, and making sure that you're safe as these storms come in. So you see on radar where they are now. They are coming through Fairview, about to come through Pegram, approaching the western parts of Franklin in the next few minutes, and then approaching downtown Nashville and really all of Davidson and most of Williamson County over the next little bit. Let's go back to TBNA. Let's look at velocities on TBNA. And still showing pretty strong winds there in the western part of Williamson County along 840. And that's going to be 71 mile per hour winds being read by TBNA radar at 1,300 feet. And 73, 74, 75. So we're looking at basically just right around hurricane force winds there, coming through areas like Mangrum Road, South Harpeth Road, Pinewood Road, and these are very wooded areas. Union Valley Road, a lot of trees out there. So if you see damage today, as Will mentioned a little bit ago, if you see damage out there, whenever it's safe for you to do so, it'd be really useful to know, and it'd be really good to know where the damage is. And so if you could send us reports using hashtag TSpotter on Twitter, that would be great. I'll also mention this because Twitter is having issues. It's having issues for us. It's having issues for the Weather Service. The Weather Service is urging everyone in media and otherwise to please stress that they're still very concerned about the storm in the Nashville metro area coming into the Nashville metro, even though they may or may not be able to get tweets out from the National Weather Service. It appears to be a Twitter problem, but they're having issues with Twitter. We're having issues with Twitter, and so please find alternate ways to get information. Point people to this YouTube Live, other local media, and that would be great. But they are very concerned about the Nashville metro storm. So, and that includes Williamson County as well. All right, so you see this bulge on TBNA radar, very distinct green and blue bulge on this storm. We're not looking at the rain necessarily, we're looking at the winds. So winds here just south of Kingston Springs to looking in the 80 mile per hour range. And even in the updated scan here, 81 miles an hour. So winds 60, 70, 80 miles per hour possible from Kingston Springs down to Pasco, Natchez Trace Bridge, Leapers Fork, Fernvale, Boston, Smarden, Greenbrier, Craigfield, Pinewood Road, all the way back to Fairview. So we're concerned about this storm because it could bring down a lot of trees, a lot of power lines. And you can see here, let me go back here to the polygon, and this shows who all is included in this. So all of the Nashville metro area and most of Williamson County. check some reports here. Let me pull up some video. Yeah, I'm seeing some wind on our, some video on Twitter here. Those winds were every bit of 50 coming through Fairview, maybe some gusts to 60 there. Let me also mention, it's coming up on 1 o'clock. Davidson County canceled their tornado siren test at noon today. Williamson County, there are lots of different municipalities in Williamson County that test their sirens at 1. So Williamson County, City of Franklin, City of Brentwood. I don't know who's doing what. There are no tornado warnings in effect, but I do suppose it's it'll get everybody's attention for the weather. But if you do hear tornado sirens at 1 o'clock in Williamson County, apparently they just decided not to cancel their test. So this is a test day at 1 o'clock for most of the cities and the county in Williamson County. So just a heads up on that. All right. So you're looking at traditional radar here. This is an image of where the rain is. And also maybe a better, clearer picture on where the polygon is. And this is going to be basically Franklin, Brentwood, Nashville, Percy Priest Lake, Old Hickory Lake, Joelton, Hendersonville. All of these areas included in a severe thunderstorm warning that has 70-mile-per-hour winds possible with this. This is not your typical base grade severe thunderstorm warning. This is one where they are particularly concerned about the possibility of 70-mile-per-hour winds. And those are destructive. Those are pretty bad. So that will cause considerable damage if that comes through your local area. So charge your phones. We've been through this just less than 24 hours ago. We've been through this. Let's do it again. Charge your phones. Get ready for power outages and stuff like that. We're looking at the Weather Service radar here. It's got a slightly different view than TBNA does. That's okay. We'll look at TBNA again here in a second. But the reason I want to show you this is that the Weather Service radar on this northern part of the storm is showing 70 to 80 mile per hour winds up here around Ashland City. So that's going to approach areas like Beeman Park, Joelton, Baxter Road, Scottsboro, Haynes, Bells Bend, eventually Goodlettsville, Millersville over there in Sumner County, Bakers, Luton's, Ivy Point, and all those folks up there in northern Davidson County. So the Weather Service radar is showing this considerable area of strong winds here around Ashland City. That's going to be pushing east into Davidson County shortly. And we go back over to TBNA, it shows a little bit of that, but it has a better look at the southern end of the storm, which is going to be from Kingston Springs to the south. And it's showing winds similar, 70 to 80 miles per hour, about to cross Big East Fork Road and over there around Bedford Creek Road. The Natchez Trace Parkway is back over there. And then also, there's the Natchez Trace there. It's right over there. And then also Old Hillsborough Road, Fernvale, coming into the west and northern parts of Franklin. What a mess. What a mess. I'll ask you again, please be safe. Please don't be outside. Please let your neighbors know this is coming if they're outside cleaning up storm damage from last night. We were driving around earlier, saw a lot of people out in Rutherford County that were out cleaning up storm damage today, and that's great. But please go out and be a good neighbor and let them know that this is coming in, and they need to be safe with this as it comes in. Be in a good building. Be in a good building, and don't be around trees. If you're maybe even a part of your building that's away from the trees outside. Just whatever you can do, whatever precautions you can take to be the furthest away you can from stuff that can fall, because the winds like this can certainly do that. So if you are around a wooded area, if you're in a car, I don't know what your situation is, but just be away from things that can fall like trees. Here's a look again at that wind around Ashland City. And let's get an idea of what that is. 70, 77, 78. So 70 to 80 mile per hour winds there possible. Again, that's up aloft in the storm. We're just reading the radar data that's a couple thousand feet off the ground. But we can infer that those winds are strong at the ground level, coming right through the middle of Ashland City. And we'll be approaching Beeman Park and Joelton. If you know anybody outside around there, around Beeman Park or Joelton, please give them a heads up. They don't have much time. New severe thunderstorm warning for the far northern part of Davidson County. That's going to be, all of those folks were already included in one anyway. But that's going to be up there, including Robertson, Sumner, and northern part of Davidson. So that's a new warning in effect for about 27 minutes. And that's for 60 mile per hour winds and some small hail possible up there. But everybody here in Davidson County was already included in this lower one. Let's take a look at Williamson County again.
I just tweeted at Elon Musk. I'm sick of this. They're limiting the number of tweets people can read. So
great.
I'm pounding this YouTube Live link. Apparently, it's if you're unverified, you can only read 600 tweets in a day, I think. New unverified users can only access 300. If you're verified, you're limited to reading 6,000 posts a day. So I'm asking Elon for a waiver. This is ridiculous.
I'm going to try not to lose my cool.
Let's just concentrate on the storm.
Yep. And we'll deal with this. Deal with this later.
Hey Andrew, if you want to bring up my screen share, there's some drone video over western Williamson County showing the storm front as it moves through. Obviously, it's really big and it's really powerful, and no surprise that we're seeing that very clear bow definition out of the cloud structure as it moves through. You can see the curvature in some of these shots on the northern and southern edge of it. Looks like reflectivity is kind of wound down a little bit.
Yeah, velocity signature is still very impressive here. Yeah, that's a video there that Will shot with the drone a little bit earlier, and you can very clearly see that bow signature in the clouds. Absolutely. Thanks for doing that, Will. Ashland City looks like winds still in the 80 mile per hour range. I would expect there to be probably some damage there around Ashland City. And I'm hearing an echo on somebody. Who's that? I'm not sure.
I'm going to mute.
Might be me. I changed mics. Hold on.
So Ashland City Highway, right there along 249, 251 highways there. Some very strong winds possible there around Ashland City. That'll be coming into Davidson County, Beeman Park, Scottsboro, Joelton here in the next little bit. And let's go back down to Williamson County and look at those winds. Still pretty formidable, all right? That's coming through northern parts of Franklin right now, about to cross Franklin Road that goes from Brentwood down to Franklin, and coming into Forest Hills and Oak Hill as well. And so we're going to investigate trying to get the YouTube Live over on the website as well, so people don't have to fool with Twitter at the moment. I'm trying not to be ticked off, but I'm pretty close. All right, so I'm focusing on the storm. So TB&A showing here the strong storms coming through, or strong winds now coming through western Williamson County. That's, again, it's just going to be pushing left to right. All right, so if you're in downtown Nashville, up toward Fontenelle, which doesn't exist anymore, we got to take that off our maps, guys. Madison, Bells Bend, down to Brentwood, around the Galleria, McKay's Mill, Williamson County Fairgrounds, all that is just crossing I-65. It's moving left to right, and everybody can expect some strong winds with this.
It's getting close to Sunnyside. I see in the chat somebody asking, yes, anywhere west of 65 in both counties, you are not out of the clear. It is on its way to you.
Checking for some videos, reports, anything like that coming in. Really interesting pictures of the clouds.
Yep.
Classic shelf cloud pictures coming in. Not seeing too many videos. That's okay. I don't necessarily want people out there looking at videos or taking videos, but if they're too close to it. "75, 76 miles an hour crossing Ashland City Highway. Approaching Beeman Park. I don't like to see that particularly. Well, our power came back on at 1:20 this morning, so I know a lot of people worked hard to make that happen for a lot of people, and so I'm afraid they're going to have to do some work again. I know they will, and they do it. They do it willingly for us, getting our power back on, but hate to see the possibility of it happening again. Strong winds now within Davidson County, coming through Oak Haven, Eagle Ridge, the Charlotte Pike exit of I-40, and I'm going to effort some cameras here. Let's see what we can see with TDOT. Let me back out the radar image so you can see while I'm looking this up, so you can see what's headed your way. There we go. Here's a little bit of the wind here on the west side. This is near the Old Hickory Boulevard exit of I-40. See the trees bending pretty good there. Let's go back. Let's go to a different camera here. Closer down the interstate. That's going to be around Charlotte. Let's go back to River Road. Wow. Look at this, guys. Wind blowing hard. This is the Charlotte Pike, just west of Charlotte Pike, and trees whipping good. So this is Charlotte Pike, just west of there on I-40, and you see the trees on the right and the left moving pretty hard. So I'm looking here on radar, and this is right where some of the strongest winds are. And could be on the order of 60 to 70 miles per hour there. Looks like a solid 40 to 50.
So that's the closest, well, one of the closer interstate exits to my home. And I left. I'm getting power washed by wind and rain at the moment.
All right, let me sort of talk you through the radar here while we're showing some of this video from TDOT. Strongest winds now coming in appear to be, according to TBNA, coming into Franklin, especially the west sides, and up around up in Nashville. Man, a lot of wind there. That's not too far from Charlotte. They're on I-40, and up there in Davidson County, looks like we could easily have winds in the 50 to 60 mile per hour range, according to radar, and that looks pretty
Yes.
close there on the video. So coming into downtown Nashville, you can expect coming into downtown Nashville shortly, winds in the 50 to 60, maybe 70 mile per hour range. And it looks like we're even getting reports of trees down. So it looks like this is going to be another event where we have trees and power lines come down over the next hour or so. So again, that's winds right around I-40. We'll come back to that if we need to. Let's go to TBNA and let's show here these winds that we're talking about. This is I-40. The blue line is I-40. You got Charlotte Pike. You've got what is that? Highway 70 that runs out of there. That's going to be right there around Belle Meade. Is that that's West End, right? I'm trying to remember. Highway 70 going out of town, and that's going to be West End. And so winds coming down through there. Hillwood, White Bridge, Sylvan Park, the Nations, and coming across 440 here in the next little bit. All right, let's back out a little bit. Let's go to the Williamson County storm, and we'll do that on TBNA also. So, looks like the strongest winds in Williamson County appear to be right around Old Hillsborough Road, Whitehall Farms, Cottonwood, Fieldstone Farms, and crossing Hillsborough Road. Even over a little bit on the east side of 65 around Crockett Park, Brent Haven, Ravenwood High School. It's like a new severe thunderstorm warning coming out, and that's going to be for 70 mile per hour winds. That's going to be in effect until 2 o'clock, and that's going to be this polygon here. So it still covers pretty much all of us. And that's going to be a new severe thunderstorm warning polygon that will replace the one that expires in 20 seconds. All right, so new severe thunderstorm warning in effect now until 2 o'clock, and that's going to go way over to eastern Wilson County as well, but it's going to cover most of us here, pretty much everybody that was already in a warning here in Davidson and Williamson. Fairview, we're going to give the all clear to you, and you're going to be west of the warning here in just a second. And so all clear for Fairview, but really Fairview to the east, coming into Franklin, Brentwood, downtown Nashville, up and down the I-65 corridor. And then those of you east of I-65 in Davidson and Williamson, expect some strong winds shortly. All right, let's go over to here, and I'll show you those strong winds. So here's our new polygon you see flashing. So basically, Beeman Park, Haynes, over to Madison, Inglewood, Donaldson, B&A, all the way down to Antioch, Oak Hill, Brentwood, and then down in Williamson County, Nolensville, Trinity, Triune, Page High School, Arno. Nolensville has their fireworks tonight. Big shindig down there in Nolensville, and that's going to get wet here in a little bit, but hopefully won't affect the events later tonight. So, Weather Service radar showing where the strongest winds are, where it can read best, and that's going to be over here just to its west. So still have some strong winds coming into Joelton, and then some strong winds down to the south. Will, how are we doing on reports?
Yeah, just a reminder on reports, make sure you include the location, wherever you are, your nearest cross streets, the community you live in. We need location just as much as we need, impact. In terms of impacts, obviously tree fall hazard is a huge one. Limbs, whole trees coming down. With as much rain as we've received yesterday and today, I think, tree blow over in an uproot situation is possible. Power lines down. I don't think hail is as big an issue. Positive lightning strikes are a big hazard. So if you see any tree limbs down, you see any trees down, you see any power lines down, damage from hail, damage to structures, please let us know on Twitter using hashtag TSpotter. Those reports are crucial. they go right to the National Weather Service and allow the Weather Service to make better warnings for people downstream. In terms of what I'm seeing at the moment, exactly what I just described. I see a lot of limbs down, mainly pines, a few hardwoods that have tree limb damage, which we'd expect to see some large limbs down on cars, all in the western part of both counties. I'll draw your attention to the screen real quick, and this is I-40 at White Bridge Road, one of the biggest intersections in the city. A lot of you know where that is. Look how much that camera is shaking. That's pretty incredible.
Strong damaging winds coming into Oak Hill now, another very wooded area, a lot of trees there, and we would expect to see some trees down in that area. Hey, Graham, thanks for coming in, man. Graham
Yes.
runs our Instagram, oddly enough. And glad he's here with us. And Graham's going to be hitting up some things on Instagram for us as well, especially since we're having trouble with Twitter. I'm hearing that we have a static link to our YouTube live here that is on our homepage, NashvilleSevereWeather.com. So if that's there, it may or may not be there yet. I know we're trying to get that up over there right now. But if you need to share that with somebody, it should be there on our homepage. If not now, it should be there shortly, hopefully.
And pea-size hail here at Nashville Severe Weather headquarters. Big positive strikes going on. I don't know if you can hear it in the background, but the meatiest part of the storm is passing over Warner Park, Horseshoe Bend, Bellevue, and will be making its way down Old Hickory Boulevard into Brentwood soon.
Looking at some cameras here, I'll share with you. This is going to be around. Let's see. This is going to be right around the Armory Drive exit, I-65, and strong wind's going to be there here in just a little bit, and strong winds making their way to my house now as well. So we'll watch these cameras. We'll see what's going on there, but it looks like just a common theme. Whoa! It just got to me. Boy,
Yeah.
did it ever.
Just had
Man.
some power flashes here
Power flashes where?
in Glencliff.
In Glencliff area? Yeah.
Flash.
So you're looking at winds here from Armory Drive. This is a TDOT camera there around Armory Drive. And it looks like the winds are arriving there now. And that's right in an area, I'm looking at the radar off screen here, that's right in an area where the winds are approaching 58 miles per hour. That's at about 400 feet. So pretty good bet that right through that, oh man, boy, it's blowing hard. I'm getting every bit of 50 at my house. And I just heard a tree crack. So, here we go.
Great, here we go.
Here we go. I'm going to have to run the generator for 2 days in a row. All right, so winds here around on TBNA. Looks like 67 miles per hour around Overton Lee. That's around Tyne Boulevard. Again, boy, some beautiful old trees there, but they can come down. They can come down hard in storms like this. So let's watch for reports. Let's see what kinds of stuff comes in. I bet we'll have a lot of trees, a lot of tree reports with this. All right, so we're looking at TBNA here. Strongest winds appear to be right around Oak Hill and Creve Hall and the Zoo and Berry Hill and Melrose approaching Glencliff. So that's going to be crossing I-65 up there around Harding Place. Looks to be where some of the highest winds are right now, according to TBNA.
I am getting tree down and limb down reports from the Creve Hall area now.
Doesn't surprise me a bit. I grew up in that neighborhood, and those big, beautiful trees, unfortunately, it doesn't take a whole lot to bring those down, and there's a lot of houses underneath them too. So I lived over there in the Creve Hall area during the big ice storm we had back in the 90s, and it was a mess. Power out at a friend of mine's house. He lives over just east of Ellington. So that's going to be right over here in the Creve Hall area. So power outages over there in the Creve Hall area, right across from Ellington as well, up there right around where these strong winds are. So strongest winds here, 63 miles per hour in Creve Hall right now. That's these pixels right here around Blackman Road, Trousdale Drive. You got like the businesses there, and Creve Hall Church of Christ. They're on Trousdale. That's crossing right over there, and Harding and Trousdale intersection. So that's right where the strongest winds are now, according to TBNA. Down in Nolensville. So one thing we have to understand with the radars is that it all depends on the way that the angle that they have to look at and that they can see where the strongest winds are. So just because some very strong winds are showing up here, it doesn't necessarily mean they're not showing up here at Shelby Park too, or down in Brentwood. It just means that it has the best look at the winds here around Creve Hall. So we can show you where the radar thinks the strongest winds are, but also imagine that they're probably occurring around in Brentwood as well in a storm like this. So let's go over and look at the Weather Service radar. The Weather Service radar has a completely different angle on this. So it's showing some very strong winds up here around Bordeaux, Inglewood, Madison, Skyline Village, Beeman Park, and those are heading east. Over around toward Lakewood. All right, and those headed right for the Weather Service office there in northwestern Wilson County. And it looks like we still do have, or at least it looks like now we do have the link up on our website. If you need a YouTube link, that should be on our homepage of our website, NashvilleSevereWeather.com. All right, I'm going to check a couple other cameras. I want to give you all a kind of a look at where some of this is, and I'm seeing several cameras without a stream available. Probably some power issues up there for those. From TDOT. All right. Let's back out a little bit. Let's get sort of an overall view of what we've got going on. New scan coming in for velocities. We'll check on those in a minute. Here's what we've got. Let's back out quite a bit. Line of storms that's been coming across Tennessee River, pushing east, and that is here really. Oddly enough, kind of right on schedule to what we mentioned in one of our first ETA tweets. I'm glad to see that worked out. I was a little worried it might get here a lot earlier and catch some people off guard. But it looks like the thing is finally here. It's crossing I-65, approaching the eastern parts of Davidson County in this bow-shaped line that started back around the Tennessee River and pushed east. Hopefully it'll be out of here soon. There are some more storms back to the west and northwestern Tennessee. Can't imagine that those would survive too long as far as pushing our direction. We'll keep an eye on them, but those are a ways off. So we think this will be sort of our main event, at least for now. And we'll keep an eye back to the west just in case. But this line is our deal. Let's just take a tour, starting from the top. So heavy rains now in Greenbrier up in Robertson County. As you come into Davidson County up there around Millersville, Bakers, Lutons, and as you move south through Gilletsville, heavy rain's coming in. Rain is not quite as heavy up in the northern part of Davidson County as it is in the south. Doesn't mean you won't get some strong winds. It just means the rain isn't quite as heavy. As you move south of downtown through Oak Hill, Brentwood, Cane Ridge, very heavy rain there, strong winds, and that's right around Oak Hill, Brentwood, Cane Ridge. That's where the heaviest rains are right now, and of course some strong winds. We've already seen some damage coming in from Creve Hall as far as trees coming down. And let's bring Graham back in. He lost power for just a second. Welcome back. What are you seeing out there, Graham? What's happening in your place?
Just heavy rains right now, and we got some pretty good gusts. I actually had a tree, some of you guys saw earlier, that went down on my house last night in the storm, and it just got further pushed off the house and now is leaning on our power line. So I'm crossing my fingers.
It's the kind of day we have where we're gonna have issues with trees, power lines,
Yeah,
internet, all that stuff.
lots of tree down reports coming into T-Spotter now. Keep that up. Send us a photo, your location. Do it safely using hashtag T-Spotter.
Absolutely. Moving on down the line here, down into Williamson County, still strong winds expected around Nolensville, Tri-Union, Page High School, Arno, areas like that. Rain not quite as heavy down Franklin, down to the south as it is off to the north around Brentwood, but still expecting some strong winds. That severe thunderstorm warning you see there is in effect for another 32 minutes. It's in effect till 2 o'clock. Hopefully by then this thing will be out of here. That's our hope. And looks like, let's go look at velocities from OHX. Strongest winds look to be coming through Lakewood, and that's very close to the radar. Very close to the radar. So strongest winds appear to be around Lakewood, Hermitage, and about to cross over into Sumner and Wilson counties. So that's what it looks like up in Davidson. Gracious. Let's go look at TBNA. TBNA's got a great read on the winds that just came through Williamson County. All right, so you see what happens here. You got your radar here in Nolensville. As the winds cross the radar site, they turn from green to red and yellow. And that's because green is winds coming toward the radar. Red is winds going away from the radar. And so as it crosses that plane, that's what you get. So it's back up, and you can see that happen. See it cross the radar, and then they turn red. So winds going, crossing I-24, definitely in the 50 to 60 mile per hour range. Crossing Laverne, Murfreesboro Road there over in Rutherford County, 50 to 60. Gusts, very common there. And that's exactly what came through just a little bit ago here in the Nolensville and Tri-Union areas just a little bit ago. New severe thunderstorm warning that's going to cover Davidson, Robertson, Sumner. So new warning for them, Davidson, Robertson, Sumner. And there is that polygon there, and that's going to be in effect till 2 o'clock. So basically just replaces that one a little bit earlier. But again, everybody that in our counties that was already included is in that polygon. Keep sending your reports. If you've had damage, hashtag TSpotter is the place to send that on Twitter. Realize that Twitter's being a pain in the neck for some of you. But as you can and as you're able.
You can DM us on Instagram, too, of any reports of trees.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Good call. Good call. DM us on Instagram with those reports as well. We'll get those in to the Weather Service.
Andrew, I've got 80-mile-an-hour winds here just on the east side of Davidson County. So the road between Lakewood and Hermitage is probably going to see hurricane force winds briefly as the worst of the winds start to kind of move out. But there are no tornado concerns. I know a lot of y'all on Twitter are worried about that. But these winds can do tornado-type damage because they're very strong. EF0 tornadoes often blow this quickly, but they just don't have the lifting mechanism. But there's still a serious situation. If you're on Percy Priest Lake or Old Hickory Lake, you are out of time and in trouble.
Yeah, as David mentioned, strongest winds now in Davidson County approaching the county line. That's going to be right around Lakewood, and that's going to be crossing Old Hickory Lake, right around Old Hickory Dam, and upstream from Old Hickory Dam, back around the marinas and homes there surrounding the lake on Old Hickory. These are also the kinds of winds that we somewhat frequently see damage to marinas themselves. And so we've we've seen that happen. It looks like a 58 knot report from B&A Airport. So that's going to be, let me do my quick math here. That's what, 67 miles per hour? 67 miles per hour there at B&A was just recorded a few minutes ago. Let's put this in motion here. And in fact, I can see where that wind was right there around B&A as it crossed them. It was a strong wind gust. So that's pushing into Wilson County here over the next few seconds, and pushing into northwestern or western Wilson County here in just a minute. Let's go over to TB&A. These are impressive winds, guys. From Smyrna. Let's put this in motion as well. You can see that cross the radar sight. Of course, it crosses the radar sight, turns red. And those are some very strong winds pushing into our neighbors to the east.
So it looks like Hermitage up to Lakewood is probably, and everybody on Percy Priest are probably the last in Nashville to get the worst of this. Probably don't have it just yet, or you're getting it now. As far as Williamson County goes, Andrew, it looks like the worst of the wind is now pushed out into Rutherford County, now into Smyrna, and then south, approaching Walter Hill and Rural Hill, which is technically not Davidson County. So it looks like the worst winds for Wilco are out and east of us, but that's not true for Nashville because of Hermitage. Still in it now, but should be out of it here pretty shortly, looks like. But we are getting a lot of cloud-to-ground lightning still near I-65 and near I-24. So obviously it's you need to get inside and stay inside until this lightning threat passes. In fact, we're still getting new cloud-to-ground lightning strikes on the back end of this precipitation shield over there that's approaching Brentwood, and Nashville still getting new lightning strikes down there. So let's let this little system move east before we venture outside to go look and see whether or not you lost anything. I know I lost a branch last night. I'm curious to see how these other trees are done. But yeah, this is quite the energy. The other thing about this is last night the winds were coming from almost the opposite direction.
That's right.
Especially in Williamson County. Now, today they're coming from the west, whereas last night they were coming from the northeast. So that's going to, I think your yard is going to respond differently to this one. Kind of getting hit from both directions. So if your tree got leaned one way, it might be standing straight up the next time. But that's certainly not going to be good for it. And we're just getting a ton of reports coming in of people who've lost trees. So, yep.
I was checking on some friends out in Dixon County at a camp. And lots of rain, wind, and the power is out there in Dixon County as well.
Yeah, just lost power here in Western Williamson. So BRB.
Just now?
Just now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, underground utilities too. So clearly it hit something east of us and knocked it out. But BRB, I'm going to go fire up the generator.
Well, David and I did last night, so it's your turn,
Now it's
buddy.
my turn. Oh, we're back.
There you go.
Wow. That was a lot easier than you got off easy, Will.
I did. Yeah,
That's for sure.
For sure.
Let's see. Question here came in. Oh, I'm sorry. That was a question on NWS chat. That was not for us. I got to get my screen straight. Okay. My dad grows some corn, and he says the corn was leaning to the west this morning. It's straight up now. So there you go.
Yeah. Are we comfortable saying the worst of the winds are east of Nashville now? Looks like they've come out on the other side at LHX.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. I'm not seeing any evidence of winds west of 65 that are threatening. I think the biggest thing right now for folks in most of Davidson and Williamson counties, as you do venture out, just be careful. There's going to be trees. There's going to be power lines down. Y'all know the drill. We've been doing this for 3 days now. But just be careful because crews are going to need time to clean stuff up, both tree and power lines. So there's going to be trampolines around. There's going to be yard furniture. Just be careful if you do venture out over the next little bit. But yeah, it does look to me, looking here on TBNA and OHX, and both to me look like the strongest winds have pushed into our eastern neighbors.
Sorry, I didn't mute in time.
Now, one thing about that storm last night here at our place is, of course, we had the winds, and we had our power was out from about 8:40 to about 1:20, and but we got almost no rain out of it, which was interesting. I think everybody's getting at least some rain out of this one, so it should give the yard a good soak. Landscaping, all that stuff has been a little crispy lately.
I got rain both times.
Did you? Nice. Somebody asked, is there a way to send pictures without Twitter? You can DM us on Instagram, and we will do the same thing with those reports as we do with the ones on Twitter. So DM us on Instagram if you can, and that would be great. Feel free to also email us. This feels antiquated, but here we go. You feel free to email us, info@nashvillesevereweather.com. If you want to email us a picture, a report, something like that. We may not get it quite as fast, but we'll get that and get that to the Weather Service. If you want to email us also, that's not the primary way to get a hold of us for reports. But Twitter is twittering, and sometimes we don't have the luxury of just sending those across Twitter real fast. So that's another way to get us reports if you need to. I think as far as the current threat, guys, we're looking pretty good. Like comparing upstream to downstream.
Mm-hmm.
They're modifying the warning polygon here. It's still going to have Williamson County included and Davidson, but they're bringing it over to basically the east side of 65. So that has happened just in the past couple of seconds. There it is. Boy, the Weather Service radar. Looking over here into Wilson County. That's a bunch of wind.
Still lots of tree down reports, lots of power out reports.
Yeah, keep sending them in. Hashtag T-Spotter on Twitter if you can't do that because Twitter is twittering and not being nice. Instagram, send us a DM on Instagram or email us info@nashvillesevereweather.com. Any pictures that you have, and we'll get those over to the Weather Service. So let me sort of try to consolidate maybe a message here as of about 1:45. I think our message is that the strongest winds appear, according to the radar data we're seeing, strongest winds appear to be east of our counties now. They've pushed east of Davidson. They're over in Wilson and Rutherford. And so strongest winds appear to have moved through. The second part of the message is be very careful as you head out because there clearly is a lot of tree and power line damage just based on the reports that we're getting. So be careful as you venture out. You're driving down the road, you go around a curve real fast, there's a tree across the road. That's a problem. Just be careful as you travel. Think ahead as you're driving to what might be around the next turn. And so that's just good general life advice, isn't it? But we're not going to go down that road yet. So just be careful as you're driving and as you pick things up. Still a lightning threat, so you might want to hold off just a little while going out and cleaning up or resuming.
Let me add to that, Andrew, the lightning threat. Yeah. So I was the first one to experience the storm because I live further west than anybody. And it is still thundering and lightning very close to here outside, and storm moved through 15, 20 minutes ago. So this is a lingering lightning threat.
Yeah, same here in Glencliff area. Still getting a good amount of lightning.
Guys, there was just a positive lightning strike south of Lipscomb near Duncanwood Drive. And that is on the other side of the storm, on the back edge of the departing edge of the storm. So if you were, that had to have been real exciting to live there and had that happen. But you need to wait another 30 minutes before you go outside and see, check your shingles and do all that because we're still getting lightning out of the backside even after the precipitation has ended.
Great point. Yeah, great point. So if you came inside for a little bit, if you were working outside cleaning up last night's damage, don't go back outside yet. Give it a while. Let this move completely out. Let the lightning get completely out, and before you go back outside and keep working or start working or whatever it is you need to do. Good storm today, guys. Not good in the terms of damage, but it was a decent, well organized storm, I should say, and it's going to leave us with a lot of leaves, power lines, trees down, stuff like that. What do y'all think, guys? Do you want to hang with it?
No.
Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to jump off of YouTube Live. A couple things to remind you of while we get off of YouTube Live. If you need radar, we do have radar on our website, NashvilleSevereWeather.com. Go into resources. You'll have 2 radar views there available. One is more of a metro view. One is a zoomed out sort of a regional view. Feel free to use that. So radar is available on the website. Our Twitter feed is also available on the website. So you can go there. You can follow us on Instagram. Graham is there handling Instagram for us. You can send reports in by DMing the Instagram account, and he'll get those over to the Weather Service. He's doing on Instagram what we're doing on Twitter. So use that resource as well if you need to do that. Also, email us, info@NashvilleSevereWeather.com. If there's no other way to get us a report, a picture, send that to us via our email, and we'll do the same thing. We'll get that over to the Weather Service as soon as we can. So we'll jump off of here, guys. thank y'all for jumping on. I know a lot of folks had things going on today, but thank y'all for jumping on and working with the team effort today on getting these storms through here, and hopefully everyone's safe. So, all right, y'all have a good one, and we'll talk to you later.